Welcome to Pod. You're listening to episode number 1. Holy goodness, my friend. It has been a journey to get here, but I honestly could not be any more grateful to share this space, this time, and this community with you. So thank you for tuning in today.
Hi there. Thanks for tuning in to Pod, a podcast crafted by Tiana Tai to help you purify your purpose in business, love, and life. Whether you're an entrepreneur, dog mom, or just getting started, you're bound to find value as Tiana dives into meaningful topics each episode. So, settle in, turn up the volume, and welcome your host, Tiana Tai.
Here's the truth. We all want to live an amazing life. We all want to make our mark, be successful, and be happy. But there's a lot of noise that exists in the world around what you need to do to accomplish those goals. It's my belief that the absolute foundation of your true success is your purpose. That's it. It's like, once you identify your purpose and once you really gear your actions to be in the service of that purpose, things just kind of come together. All of a sudden, you have that fire, you have that motivation that you were lacking, and it just feels good. So that's what we're going to talk about today on Pod. I know it may seem a little simple, maybe a little common sense of a topic, but the fact of the matter is here on Pod, every discussion that we ever have is going to be geared around finding your true purpose. So whether we're talking about business, love, life, relationships, whatever the actual topic matter may be, even if I get really technical with nitty-gritty tips and tricks for like social media or websites or even SEO, the point of the matter is, if your actions and your goals and your desires are not rooted in your purpose, then anything that I teach you here honestly doesn't even matter. Like, it just doesn't. I'm sorry. Like, that's just the way it is. So with that being said, I really want you to stick around. I think that this episode is going to make you think very deeply about some very important topics and hopefully do a good bit of self-reflection so that you can lock down what your purpose is. I'll speak from my personal experience, share my favorite tips and tricks, and most importantly, give you a detailed guide to purifying your purpose through one of my favorite exercises. I am so excited for this one, my friend, so let's get started. So, what does purpose mean to Pod? Well, I truly believe deep in my heart that purpose is the driver of success, whether it's business, love, or your general life. So I just want to dive into this topic. What is purpose, and what the heck does it have to do with the last name Tai? By now, you hopefully know that the name of this podcast is Pod. I mean, it's really pretty simple. And I've had a few friends question if there was really any meaning behind the name because if you know me, my last name is Tai and this is a podcast. So Pod. That does sound a little simple, right? But I can honestly say it has much more meaning behind it than you think. Trust me. I do love play on words as much as the next woman, but it was important to me that the title of this podcast had some, depth, even if that depth is not apparent to the casual listener. Spoiler alert, Tai, which is my last name, has a lot to do with the purification of value. If you don't know this about me yet, I'm a researcher, literally, by education and by trade. And one of the things that I love to research is the true meaning behind words. Seriously, you can check my bookshelf. After a bit of digging, I learned that there is an old meaning for the word Tai. Before it was a widely regarded name and a proper noun, it was an intransitive verb that was used in mining, and it meant to isolate valuable material from dross using, you guessed it, a tie. Wow. I mean, you guys may think I'm a little kooky or whatever, but to me, that was literally God and the universe just aligning everything for me. I mean, whenever I was sitting with my mom, we came across this definition and we were like, seriously, this is what you wanted your podcast to do. You wanted to be able to separate all of the noise that exists in the world about what it means to be successful, how to achieve it, blah, 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 blah. I wanted to create a space where I could just talk to people and bring bite-sized information that would actually give value to people's lives who are really just beginning this journey. And that's kind of a hard thing to find. And I mean, I'm smiling as I say this, but I just think this definition is perfect. I think the spirits and God and everything aligned to make this a thing. So once again, tie was an intransitive verb used in the mining industry, and it meant to isolate valuable material from dross using a tie. Oh, and I know. What the heck is dross? Okay. Well, dross is defined as something regarded as worthless, aka rubbish, or as I like to call it, hot trash. And you know what? Life has proven to me over and over again that if we live a life without purpose, our actions are futile and our results are, I mean, you guessed it, hot trash. And that's not what we want, am I right? So, through this episode, I'm aiming to teach you my introductory process for purifying your purpose. And I just want you to keep in mind, this is not easy work. You're going to want to take notes during this episode and use some of the resources that I'll be sharing with you. Have you ever been asked the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm going to go ahead and guess that you have. And that's such a hard question for so many reasons. But can you take a guess to what's an even harder question? That's it. What is your purpose in life? I mean, come on. That's heavy. But it's my firm belief that it really doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be overwhelming to operate out of our purpose. For example, I'll share a little bit about myself. I believe I occupy both sides of a dyad. I'm a student and a teacher. I've literally been in formal education since age 5, and I've been tutoring and mentoring others since about the 5th grade. As an adult, I found that my purpose is to teach others and be recognized for providing my students with the tools and encouragement they need to be the best version of themselves. As I look back on a bunch of different experiences in life, it's really been a theme for as long as I can remember. I remember being a 5th grader and reading books to the 1st graders. I remember tutoring people in Spanish in middle school. I remember being in high school and acting as the executive body president and leading a team of all of the class presidents of the school. And I remember that all of these experiences, as much as I was able to teach others through them, they taught me. And it really was both sides of the dyad, frankly. But something that I find a little interesting is a lot of people feel like once they identify their purpose, they feel like that kind of nails them down, makes them stuck, it makes things stagnant. Like they can only have one career or one experience over and over again for the rest of their lives. But that's really not true. Even for me as a 20-something, I'd be lying if I said that the expression of my purpose doesn't shift. And what I mean by that is, even if my purpose is being a student teacher, right? I may express that purpose through a variety of professions. I could be an actual teacher, a full-time podcaster, a therapist, a business consultant, a researcher, an author, and literally probably 1,000 other things. That doesn't even bring into the picture the modalities or the industries that I could do all of those things within. And the truth is, I am many of the things that I just listed right now. So I don't want to put this pressure on you to quote unquote have it all figured out. You don't need to know exactly what you want to do for work day in and day out. That's not the point. My point is, as long as you're rooted in your purpose, you're still going to be on the right path. Stay with me now because this is related, I promise. There's this docuseries on Netflix called Rapture, where they interview different hip-hop artists. My little brother introduced me to it, and this conversation on purpose reminds me of this episode that we watched together on TI. It was set in this little white church. in Chicago, and a group of about 50 kids are looking up at him wide-eyed as he discusses the complexity of life and the importance of making decisions. He looks out at these kids and says, "If you don't have a dream, you need to go get one. Everything you do, every decision you make should push you closer to that dream." Frankly, I don't love the word dream, but I'm obsessed with this message. To me, that's what purpose is about. Purpose is your foundation. It's what guides your steps and helps you establish your goals. Once you understand your purpose, you should be using it to make choices, raise your hand for the right opportunities, and ultimately manifest the vision that you have for your own future. This week's podcast is brought to you by my freebie, Value Finder. The Value Finder is a fillable tool that I refer to throughout this podcast. It is everything you need to begin this journey of purifying your purpose. Visit tianatai.com/valuefinder to grab a free download now. The very first step to purifying your purpose is simple. It's doing just a little bit of self-reflection. Remember when I said I identified that being a student and being a teacher were themes in my life for as long as I can remember? There isn't really a formula to this piece of the process, but just taking a few moments to reflect on any themes that pop out for you around what it is that you're good at. What are you passionate about? What do you find yourself doing naturally that you really don't mind? For me, that's teaching. For me, I naturally find myself learning as much as I can about a topic and then sharing it with others. I can't tell you how many pillow talk conversations I have with my own husband about the most random things that I learn via books, documentaries, TED Talks. Like, it literally doesn't matter, but that's what I naturally do. That's what I naturally enjoy. And that's what I naturally find myself doing on a daily basis. So take a moment to reflect. What is it that you're naturally passionate about? If passionate feels like too strong of a word for you, maybe just identify a few things that you really do on a daily basis, or you wish you had more of the time to do. So, I have a question for you. Is your lack of purpose limiting your growth? Think about that. If any of these statements sound like you, there may be some work to be done. You are uninspired by your job, but haven't yet taken any steps to improve the situation. You say yes to a lot of opportunities that aren't really serving you. You have no idea what your next move is, or even its general direction. You feel unhappy, and yet you're complacent in this limbo phase. Here's how I began my journey to purifying my purpose. Look, my friend, I'm not here to tell you a lie. There's no magical formula for figuring out your purpose in life. If there were and I knew about it, I'd be a wealthy woman. There are, however, many exercises that I do on a semi-regular basis that I genuinely believe will help you. So I'm going to share with you how I use self-reflection, my values, and my vision statement to help me purify my purpose. And here's a little disclaimer. It sounds a little hokey, I'm sorry again, but this is a journey. It's not a destination. I'm sorry, I had to say it. I know everybody hates when people say that because they're just like BS, but I mean, it's the truth. Your purpose is going to flex. It's going to shift. It's going to kind of move with you. And that's good. That's life and that's real. So if you don't like that and you don't want to hear it, maybe you should just pause for a minute and reflect on why it is that that bothers you so much. I mean, honestly, I think it's a kind of beautiful thing, but I'm just saying. So first, I'm going to talk to you about your values. Your values tie directly into how you navigate the world around you. They're closely linked with your morals and your overall philosophy towards life. I know it can sound a little fluffy, but think back to values that you've carried with you since childhood, like honesty, integrity, or compassion. Maybe you've gained additional values through life experience, like grit, resourcefulness, or even influence. These are the values that should ultimately align with your purpose. And I'm happy to self-disclose, I've worked on identifying my values many times, and while there's some normal fluctuation, my top 5 always include authenticity, balance, and curiosity. I call these my ABCs. Can you see how these align well with my purpose of being a student and a teacher? Remember that resource I spoke about earlier, the Value Finder? That's what I use to consistently reassess which values are most important to me. I've literally used it in graduate school, my personal life, and heck, I even helped my husband use it for his own career. Seriously, this thing works. So, if you don't want to try to work out, the hundreds of values in your head, you can go ahead and go to tianatide.com/value finder to access this free resource. It will provide you with an extensive list of values to kind of get the wheels turning and outline the steps that you'll need to distill your values in a list of your top 3 to 5. Next, it's really important that you narrow down your vision statement. And to be honest, this is where things are going to take a little bit more time. So, if you're driving or working out or whatever it is that you may be doing, you can start thinking about this, but keep in mind, this is really going to take some quiet reflection time. It's so important not to just stop once you have that list of values. I'm going to challenge you today to use the values that you came up with using the Value Finder to craft your vision statement. If you don't know, I'm going to tell you what a vision statement is. A vision statement is a brief description that outlines your long-term goals and the vision of who you want to be and what you want to achieve personally, professionally, or a combination of both. I like to start just by writing my vision statement in long form to get all my thoughts out. So, for example, I might say, each day I uphold the values of authenticity, balance, and curiosity in all that I do. I am filled with vitality and passion when I learn something new for the sake of knowledge and share that knowledge with my community. I continuously grow in the critical areas of my life, including my business and my family. I feel content and enriched each day because I capitalize on my natural strengths of teaching by talking to the TiPod community, sharing thoughts and ambitions with my loved ones, and reading. I'm continuously developing my public speaking ability, my writing, and my event planning for the sheer joy of doing something that I love. And that's it. So after I capture out my vision statement in long form, I spend probably even more time distilling it into something a bit simpler, like I'm an educator. My community recognizes me as a resource of knowledge that is shared unselfishly for the benefit of our society. And that right there, that little sentence with no detail, yeah, that took me hours. I'm so serious. It took me hours of staring at that paragraph and then staring at a new piece of blank paper to distill my thoughts down into one sentence. But I will say I'm still tweaking it a little bit here and there, but it's starting to feel really good. So I want to do a quick recap here to make sure you got all of the good stuff and you can take it away and put it into action in your life, okay? So to purify our purpose, we're going to do 3 things. We're going to use good old self-reflection. Then we're going to use the Value Finder to outline your values. From there, you're going to take your values and put them into a vision statement. Now, once you have that vision statement, I'm going to challenge you to do something with it. I want you to write it down and put it somewhere that you see it every single day. If you're an artist, you can make it pretty. You can illustrate it. If you're a movie maker, you can put it in a short film. I really don't care, honestly. But I just want it to be in some sort of format for you to see it and reflect on it and be intentional about upholding it every day. And that's where the real work begins, my friend. I honestly could talk about the implications of your purpose for another couple of hours, but I don't want this episode to be too long, so I'm going to keep it brief. But remember that little clip that I shared with you about what T.I. said to those kids about your dream should inform every move that you make in this world? That's what your purpose should mean for you. And your vision statement is really just a 1 to 2 sentence blurb that really outlines what you believe your purpose is. So, I'm pretty sure I said it a little earlier in this episode, but Honestly, I created this space to just talk to you guys, to share information that I have, and to potentially bring on some guests who can share information that I may be lacking. So I want to empower you all if there's something that you want to learn about, whether it's business or your general life. However it is that you need to reach me, reach me. I genuinely want to serve you guys with the information that you care about. If you don't know, now you know, I love me some Instagram. So if you want to reach out to me, probably the best place to do that is going to be at Tiana Ty. And if you want content specifically related to the Ty Pod, you can go to at Tiana Ty Pod on Instagram. And finally, my favorite, you can access my full website with all of my content, products, and blog posts, which is tianaty.com. Again, that's tianaty.com. So I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much for sharing your space with me today. It's truly an honor. And I can't wait to see you guys next week. This is going to be so fun. Thank you for tuning in to Tiana Ty Pod. Remember, your power is in your purpose.